Imagine a woman in 1789 seated gracefully in a soft muslin dress, a book resting delicately in her hand. Her gaze is calm, assured, quietly intelligent. Around her, a world is about to collapse. Revolution is brewing, privilege is vanishing, and yet here she sits, perfectly composed, captured forever in a moment of poise before the storm. Now picture that portrait painted by another woman in a world where female artists were almost unheard of. This is Comtesse de la Châtre, one of the final portraits Élisabeth Vigée Le Brun created before fleeing France, and one of the most telling images of a society on the brink of transformation. The woman in the portrait is Marie Charlotte Louise Perret, born in 1762. She later became known as the Comtesse de la Châtre after her marriage to Claude Louis, the Count of Nancy, in 1778. Marie came from privilege. Her father served as premier valet de chambre to King Louis, giving her access to the intricate world of court life. But by the time this portrait was painted in 1789, the air in France was thick with change. The monarchy's foundations were cracking. For aristocrats like her, elegance and refinement had always been a language of power. In this portrait, that language feels like a whisper from a fading world. Élisabeth Brun paints the Comtesse not as a distant noblewoman, but as a person. She sits on a graceful chair, her posture relaxed but dignified, her hand lightly holding a book, a detail that feels both intimate and revolutionary. Women were rarely shown reading in portraiture of the time. A book implied thought, learning, curiosity, qualities often left out of depictions of noblewomen who were expected to symbolize beauty and obedience rather than intellect. Here, the book becomes a quiet act of rebellion, a symbol of selfhood. The Comtesse appears cultured, contemplative, and independent-minded. It's as if she's caught between the demands of her status and a desire for something more profound. Understanding, reflection, and perhaps even agency over her own life. Her attire, a simple white muslin gown with lace trim, mirrors this balance. The style, influenced by Marie Antoinette's taste, was lighter and more natural than the rigid silks and corsets of earlier decades. It signalled refinement, but also a new kind of ease, a move toward authenticity. The soft folds of her dress, the straw hat with ribbons, the open book, all weave together an image of noble simplicity. And yet, seen through the lens of history, we can sense what's unsaid, that this calm scene stands on the edge of upheaval. Within months, the revolution would begin, and the world of people like the Comtesse would be forever changed. She herself would eventually leave France, as so many of her circle did, to escape the violence and chaos that followed. The mind behind the portrait, Élisabeth Le Brun, was one of the most extraordinary figures in 18th century art. Born in 1755, she had no formal academic training, since women were not admitted to France's Royal Academy of Painting until late in the century. Yet her talent was undeniable. By her teens, she was already painting members of Parisian high society. By her 20s, she had become the favoured painter of Queen Marie Antoinette and the royal family. Elizabeth's portraits of the Queen, more than 30 in total, helped craft Marie Antoinette's public image. She painted her as a loving mother, a refined patron of the arts, even as a symbol of grace under scrutiny. But her closeness to the Queen would later place her in great danger. When the revolution erupted, her association with the monarchy forced her into exile. She fled France in 1789, the very year she painted the Comtesse de la Châtre. That Context makes this portrait feel like a farewell, not only to Marie, but to an entire world. Élisabeth was capturing the last glimmers of a class and a culture about to vanish. Yet what makes her art enduring isn't nostalgia, it's empathy. She didn't just paint aristocrats as symbols of wealth or beauty, she humanized them. In this painting, that humanity radiates. The Comtesse is neither idolized nor objectified. She feels alive. Élisabeth's delicate handling of light softens her features, giving her a sense of thoughtfulness, even vulnerability. Her slight smile and steady eyes suggest composure, but perhaps also uncertainty, a reflection of the times themselves. As a woman artist, Élisabeth's success was nearly miraculous. In a profession dominated by men, she carved out a space for herself through pure skill and social intelligence. Her ability to capture both likeness and character earned her admiration across Europe. But what set her apart most was her gaze. One woman seeing another not as an object, but as a subject, intelligent, complex, and alive. Comtesse de la Châtre stands at the crossroads of style, politics, and identity. On the surface, it's a fashionable portrait, elegant, restrained, perfectly composed. But underneath, it speaks of change. The white muslin, the book, the ease of her posture. These elements align with Enlightenment ideals of reason, naturalness, and individual thought. The Comtesse's expression seems calm, yet there's a quiet tension. Perhaps it's the awareness of uncertainty, the sense that the old order is trembling. Perhaps it's simply the stillness before everything shifts. The book may also symbolise continuity, a preservation of intellect and refinement, even as chaos loomed. In Le Brun's own life, art played that same role, a way of holding on to grace amid turmoil. It's no coincidence that she and her sitters often fled the same France together, carrying their culture with them. When we look at Comtesse de la Châtre today, we're not just seeing a portrait of a noble woman. We're witnessing a moment in human history distilled into paint. Two women, one holding a brush, the other a book, each asserting her voice in a society that rarely listened to women at all. Élisabeth painted elegance, yes, but she also painted presence, the awareness of self. Through her eyes, women of the 18th century are no longer decorative ornaments. They are thinking, feeling, participating beings. And as viewers centuries later, we can still sense that quiet conversation between them, between artist and sitter, intellect and beauty, past and present. This is more than portraiture. It's a testament to the power of women's vision, both the one who painted and the one who read. Art has been a lifelong journey for me, a constant source of curiosity, beauty, and discovery. Through Art Muse, I hope to share that journey with you, to explore timeless paintings, uncover their hidden stories, and broaden our artistic palettes together. If you enjoyed this piece, please subscribe and join me next time as we dive deeper into the world of art.